His phone, okay.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the At Least We Talked About It podcast. We are your hosts today. We have two standing.
One is been over the toilet, I guess.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, pretty much. So
we wish Teresa well. We hope she...
Sorry, you guys can't see anything today because we couldn't figure out the camera.
Our audio technician, yeah, he's adjusting on top of the can of Pringles. So.
Yeah, so if we had camera today, you could see it on YouTube maybe that our setup is literally today a voice memo app and on top of a can of Pringles.
I'm just saying, we are that avant-garde. We are just pushing the boundaries of podcasting, but yeah.
So yeah, today is just Natalie and
Simone.
And Teresa is out sick. And last week Simone was out sick, so we're hanging in there.
Hey, we're still pushing through. Natalie, you've just been on it consistent, so we're counting on Natalie.
I haven't got sick yet.
Exactly. So you cannot. I don't want to get a phone call next week.
Yeah, I'm sick
Thursday,
now.
3 in the morning, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we're still standing, so we're really happy about that. So yeah, we didn't make an episode last week, but Simone, with her group, had a big event on Saturday.
Yeah, so we kind of did do something last week, sort of.
Yeah.
And
you
Natalie was there.
Talk about it?
Yeah, so on Saturday we were at this art gallery called the Brick House Art Gallery in Sacramento, and we actually held an event there through my organization, SAC Poetry. It was called Finding the Muse Ick Within. And it was really cool because the whole point of the whole event was to look at ways that we can use poetry to, first of all, ways that we can actually find the poet within and ways that we can cultivate poetry. And then how we can use poetry as a way to self-heal, the way that we use poetry and writing to create an identity for ourselves. And we had one lady come out, Leah Savage. One day maybe we'll get her on the podcast.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. A great friend of mine, and she's a local author. She actually has a book called Married to Love, which I encourage everybody to get. She's just a gifted person, a gifted human being, a gifted thinker and writer. And you were there for her workshop.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about her workshop? I don't want to do all the talking.
Oh,
but yeah.
I'll say my piece after.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I don't want to hoard the
mic.
But she's very into self-care, and she's very much so into self-healing, and very much so into ways that we can be restored as individuals and we can be restored as families and communities. And so she had a really good writing exercise that allowed people to sort of reflect on their past and then kind of put themselves in the present and then kind of move towards the future in a way that kind of united all three and allowed the writer to kind of advance herself in a way that kind of took into consideration the past and puts themselves in the present, but kind of allowed them to sort of have this well-rounded, complete experience where there is transparency, there is honesty, but there is also movement forward. So if there's something in the past that they want to sort of separate themselves from, or maybe even connect with, something which a lot of people have issues with. I think the past is really what keeps people from moving forward. And so we have that past element that she was able to incorporate where people were like, okay, where she was like, make a statement about, your past self, talk to your past self, put yourself in the past, which is not easy to do. It's hard for me to do. I think it's hard for a lot of people to do. And then sort of put yourself in the present, make a creative statement. And one thing she said that was really important was I am. When you say I am, that is a creative statement. So sort of create yourself in the present. And then create yourself, identify with, put yourself in the future. And then what she had everybody do was with each of those statements, the past, present, and future statement, connect all three. So sort of fill in those blanks between the past and the present and the future. And then maybe even the future and the past or whatnot, but kind of make it all come together in one kind of cohesive thing, the poem. And so it was really nice, and we had people share their poems, and I think it was, I think people had said it was a very kind of purging experience, like catharsis, here is another term that people used. It was definitely it was kind of cleansing. I mean, it was very uplifting, but it was very honest. It was a very honest experience once you actually did the exercise and kind of put it all together. And so she did a beautiful job with that. We had a local musician, Chris Jones, come out, and he had an interesting presentation where, we looked at poetry and music. And he went through some songs and kind of did different activities where, we had to sort of identify, okay, is this a poem? Is this are these just song lyrics? And surprisingly enough, all the works that we thought were actually poems were songs. But it was really interesting to see how poetry and music are very much so alike. They're different, but they're also very much so alike. And consider ways that we might approach songwriting versus writing poetry, but sort of finding the music within, in that sense, sort of finding the music in ourselves through the language of poetry, through the language of music. So it was a really good presentation. Chris is a local, maybe he'll come on the show one day.
Yay.
He's a songwriter. He's a really talented musician, good friend of mine, all the way back to high school, which was a very long time ago.
Wow, you guys look so young, both of you. Wow.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but
No, I mean, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
well, actually, Chris graduated in the same class as me. I think, we were in 2000. I know it was 2001. I think Chris was 2001. He might have been 2002, but we pretty much graduated together.
Wow.
Yeah, going way back a ways, and so thank God for Facebook. I was able actually to connect with him. He came up on my Facebook feed a few years ago, and so he's come out to, this is our second event that he's come out to and participated in, so really appreciate him. Really talented guy. And then we had Sue Daly come out. She's also a local poet. Sue does a lot in the poetry community. I know she works with the wellness, what is it called, the wellness, it's a women's center. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get the words mixed up, but she works with a women's group and leads writing workshops there. She's with the Sacramento Poetry Center. She is Wellspring. I was thinking, okay, I was like, is it wellness or is it Wellspring? Wellspring Women's Writing Group. That's in Sacramento. I know she leads their workshops. She's just an active poet, an active artist in the community, and so we were able to have her come out, and she did a really cool. She put together this whole packet with just like writing prompts, exercises, calendars, just information about upcoming poetry events in the area, which is really nice.
She had a really good poem in there, like.
She's got some poems in here. It was just pretty much like a poetry packet. And she had us go through exercises and whatnot during the class and during the workshop, and had us, if we wanted to, read our poems out loud. But you would have to kind of see some of the stuff she has. But just poem writing tips, lyric writing versus poetry. Like I said, she has different prompts in here. Poetry is self-care. Just all different kinds of resources that people can use if they're interested in writing in new ways.
That was really cool how she showed us like where you could submit your poetry and everything too.
Exactly. Yeah, Sue is just the bomb. If you follow our poetry organization's Instagram page, Poetry in Sac, I'm going to probably post some pictures of some of the materials that she had in her packet. Yeah, just so people can see. But really, really good stuff. So she did her thing. It was extremely informative, very insightful. It was just a very casual kind of experience. So it was a wonderful event. The Brick House is a wonderful gallery in Sacramento. Barbara does a really good job running it. There's an artist there now who she told me is an 80-year-old artist. Oh. His work is being displayed right now. It's on exhibit at her gallery, and this is, I think, the first time he's ever exhibited his work.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and he's got oil paintings. Yeah, amazing. And I just say there's never a reason to just not.
Yeah, I got goosebumps when you said that. I don't know why. I was like 80 and you're like first
80
art
years
exhibition.
Old.
Like wow,
80.
like really you could do stuff if you're never too old.
You're never
we always
too
feel
old.
like that. We always feel like
like when we're 20, we're like, oh, we're too old. When we're 30, oh, we're too old. When we're 40, oh, we're too old. It's just like by the time you realize you want to do something, so I was like, oh, I'm too old to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, sure, if you say so.
And that's the time when I guess people say when you get older, you get you care less about what people think about you, kind of.
I think so. I would hope so. By the time you get to be older, however you want to define that.
Yeah.
I would definitely hope so. So yeah, it was a great event. You can get more information about our poetry organization. sacpoetry.com. Easy enough.
Yeah, you got that.
And Natalie
handle.
was there. Yeah.
Yeah, I came a little late, so I missed. What's the guy's name?
Chris. Yeah, he was the first guy.
I missed Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I saw a little bit of his. But then I was there for Leah's and Sue's.
Right. And then Sean, we had one more presenter. He wasn't able to show up. He had a family emergency. But Sean Parker, local, he's rapper, artist, influencer. He's got a podcast called Free Game
We need to talk to
Podcast.
him about his podcast.
And you know what? Actually, yeah, Sean, he's my cousin.
Oh,
he's,
really?
I know. You know, I mean, I got talented family, but yeah, Sean is my cousin. But he's definitely somebody we would want on the podcast, and we should probably collaborate with Sean. Because actually that's what he does.
Did you tell him you have a podcast yet?
No, I
you
haven't
hiding
told
it?
anybody.
Is it
Oh my
embarrassing? I'm
goodness.
just kidding.
No, I just, you know what? I have so.
You've been just
there's
focused
just been so much going
on the event, probably, huh?
Huh?
You probably were focused on the event.
I
so
was.
far.
There's always just something
You can't
else to
process
focus
everything's
on.
going on.
I know, but I need to set aside some time. I will let him know, but he's somebody else that I need to. I actually asked him to come out to SAC Poetry maybe like in July or so to do like a presentation.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we should connect with him. We should have him
Yeah.
on. It'd be he's amazing.
And I met a girl at the event.
Oh yeah,
And she has her own podcast.
I
Everyone's
know,
got
everyone's
podcasts nowadays.
I know.
So we're gonna have
And
some
she's
cool
into fashion.
collaboration.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some really
It's a
cool
cool topic.
collaborations
Yeah.
on our podcast, guys.
I'm
excited.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
We had a little bit of a dip there, and right now we're pulling through. But we're gonna be coming at you with collaborations, exciting stuff.
Oh, you will not know what hit you.
Yeah.
Figuratively speaking, yes.
Yeah, so we're just doing this spirit of keep moving on, just trudging
Right.
forward.
Right. And
'Cause
you took some pictures right at the event, Natalie,
I
that
took
we can
video
share. Or...
and pictures.
You took some video too.
Yeah,
Okay,
and either Teresa will edit it, I will edit it, or the girl I met at the event said she wanted to edit it because she's a big YouTuber too. She has a lot of subs and everything. So I was like,
she
okay.
said she would edit it?
She's like, I want to edit it if you want me to. I was like, okay.
Oh
So
my
I just need to like
goodness.
connect with her and everything. I have the camera now, so maybe
Oh,
I'll ask Teresa if she's
wow.
okay. Because Teresa is 666. Like she got sick, and I said today
What
I asked
happened?
her. She threw up this morning. And
Yeah,
I
well, I
asked
saw
her,
that. Yeah, that
Then I
text,
said, "Are you gonna feel any better? You think, or no?" By like 12, and she said, "I'm just getting sicker. I think I have the flu." And I was like, "Oh,
poor
man,
thing.
that's the worst."
That's
like I
awful.
hate that when like you get sick and then okay, and it's not like the thing that just goes over. It's like you get sicker and sicker.
Just
And you're like you just know it's
lingers
going
and
down.
just progresses.
Yeah, I'm like,
into
yeah, you
more
stay away from
sickness.
me. No, just kidding. I'm
No,
like,
Teresa can still. We love Teresa, but she
Yeah.
needs to take care of herself.
yeah, that's part of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. We're going to try to see how long we can sit in this room. We're
Yeah,
in
what time
the
is it? I don't
study
know.
room at Sac State. It is right now 1:51, and we have this room booked till 2. I have to change the booking of this room, but
Yeah.
our podcast is hanging on in there, you know. Had a
Well,
rough
we can
day
keep on
today.
topic of poetry. I mean, Poetry
Yeah, we
Month,
could do
National
that
Poetry
too.
Month.
It was April, and we like didn't
Yeah.
get a touch on that National Poetry Month.
Right. We covered a little conspiracy. We covered, what was our very first
Our very first podcast was an introduction.
Fame and Money. I remember we kind of talked about
Yeah.
success and all
Teresa
that kind of
said, like, because we ended up just talking.
Right.
So Teresa just labeled that as it, because that was pretty much what we talked about. Second
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
it was about, we actually do topics in our podcast. It's interesting.
Right.
I've seen other podcasters and watching it, and they do not want to do topics. They just talk.
And that's also possible. I mean, I like.
I
the
never
idea
thought
of a
about
topic,
that.
but
though.
yeah, you could.
Like,
You
I
could
would
just-
always put so much pressure on myself. I need a topic.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if it's something where I feel like I need to know some information ahead of time,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, no, you could just be cool with it. But yeah, National Poetry Month, that was wonderful. We actually had 2 events, and so before the one on Saturday, we had one 2 weeks before that, which is our Floatial for SAC Poetry, and so that was a really good event, which is basically an open mic. And that was really a blessing. We had about probably 8 or 9 people come out and share, and we had poetry, you know, different age groups. We had, you know, a lady come out. She did like sign language. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
which is really
Oh,
nice.
wait, yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
it was
I just
really
heard
nice. She
that.
did it to song. Yeah, it was really beautiful to a song, and it was just a really creative event. The whole purpose of it was to give people the opportunity to speak, to give people the opportunity to have a platform. I think that's really important, and more importantly, community. That to me is the biggest part of all this, is just community. That's why I try to encourage people to do. I think as a poet, to me, poetry started off as, and still is, but even in its origins, it's a communal thing. You know, it involves memorizing information, you know, and the oral tradition and presenting information to people from generation to generation. But there's always a communal, a community, familial, collective aspect to it, even in its origins. And so it's important not to lose sight of that. And so to me, that's poetry at its most beautiful, at its most fulfilling, is when it's a shared experience. And so that was sort of the whole point of the Flow Show. Every time we Flow Show, like FLOCIAL, which is basically like a flow, let it flow, social, Flow Show. But that was the whole point of that event and all of our open mics, is to have that creative experience as a community. And so as poets, I don't know if anybody out there writes poetry or is interested in poetry or
I hope so.
whatnot.
Listening to our podcast.
I know. I hope you have a little bit of interest in poetry. I just encourage you to just try to expand your ideas of what poetry can be. I know we have perceptions of poetry. Like right now we're on a college campus, and so,
Yeah.
you think of the academic approach to poetry, and that is absolutely a valid one. But, poetry is just a way to something. It's a way of paying attention to the world. And, even if you don't consider yourself a writer per se, you don't like writing. I don't like writing necessarily. That doesn't mean you're not a poet. I think of poetry, first of all, just starts in your mindscape, the landscape of your thinking. And you take it from there. And so start with that. Start with details. Just start with just observing. Just start with being aware that you're aware. Those are, poetry starts with caring about things. There's something that, even if you consider yourself an apathetic person, you consider yourself somebody who's not deep, it doesn't really make a difference. You're a human being. You have emotions. There are things that work within you. And poetry really helps you identify those things that are working within you and then puts it into whatever language is best, whatever language you have the faith to use. And so I encourage you, go with that. Just kind of erase all the images you have of poetry in your mind. Just get rid of those if you can. Don't, it's poetry, just very basic. It's deep, but it's also very basic. And see where it takes you. Just see where it takes you. Just take risks. Take risks in how you think about the world. And you're pretty much at poetry. Go with your gut. Go with what's in your heart. And that sounds corny, but truly what's in your heart it's very unique. I mean, everybody has is a unique soul. And so that's where poetry really that's the engine of poetry, is that individuality, that individual approach to life, to thinking, to what makes you laugh, to what makes you upset, to what keeps you going, to what makes you stop. Poetry's in all those details.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, what I really want to say about, since we are, Poetry Month is done. So we're not at the end of National Poetry Month.
But it was there.
But it was there. It was there. It was wonderful. To me, every day is National Poetry Day. Every month is National Poetry Month. So I don't really get too worked up about it when it's April and it's National Poetry Month, because this is just my life. It's just, I do poetry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's poetry truly is a gift, and don't let anybody try to make you feel like you're not capable of it, that it's not for you. Absolutely, it is for you. You've just been told the wrong things about it.
Yeah. I like it because you could be anything and you can still be a poet.
You can be a poet, and I think people are by nature poets.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think again, going back to the origins of poetry, it's a very perfunctory kind of fundamental thing. It started off as just, I think, being just a sort of a mnemonic device where it's just a way to memorize things. It's a way to, poetry allows you to do very basic, essential things that aren't really deep, very easily.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just very
it's
practical.
so easy to connect and understand, and on a human level so quickly.
Yeah.
That's why I chose it for my anthropology project, because I don't have much time to get familiar. And like they say, like in anthropology, if you're doing research, you want to because you're working with people, you want to get familiar with them and get them warmed up to you. But poetry is like this instant thing.
It is.
Like
it
you really get to
is.
know like this inner part of that person, and you're just like, oh,
Right.
okay, I connect with that.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point, is that connection. I think, it just goes back to the whole community aspect of it. I mean, that to me, that's where it clicks. And for me, that's where poetry has been the most meaningful, is when I have an event or something like I told you before for your project, when people are like, oh, I've never done an open mic before, or I haven't done an open mic in a while, or I've never shared, or it's the first time I share this particular poem, or something. To me, that's the fulfillment of it all.
Yeah.
It's just you pass it on. You're constantly planting seeds. And things grow from that. That to me is just the fulfillment, is that growth, is just that progression, is just that blossoming. That's the part of it I enjoy writing poetry.
Yeah.
But to me, the fulfillment of it, though, is that
I like
community.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really felt that on Saturday, right? Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's Saturday? I know. Whatever.
What day was it?
I can't believe we're already on Thursday. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Because
wow.
it feels like it was just yesterday I had that event. And now
Yeah.
we're like, Thursday.
Yeah.
That is just so
It was
bizarre
Saturday.
to me. I feel like I just saw you yesterday.
Weeks go by so fast right now.
Oh, it's
I think it's because
amazing.
it's the part of the year where everyone's like progressing and trying to get to summer.
Summer makes things happen very quickly, I think.
Yeah, it
'Cause I'm
does.
just like,
Things are just
we're in May.
You know, people say
my
there's this
goodness.
like theory. I don't know if it's true or not.
It's probably true.
Time
Yeah, no.
is moving faster, like, and everyone's feeling it. But everyone always says that. But there's this theory that time is actually like in
I believe
space
that.
is moving faster or something like
I
that.
completely believe
I was like,
that.
because it does feel weird. Like I remember just like, but maybe it's just my
No,
bad
I
planning.
think that's true.
Maybe I'm not planning my days out,
But
so I
doesn't it
see
seem like
it.
time goes fast?
It just goes so
That's
fast.
what I'm saying. I think there's something, it goes like by like, I can't believe we're in May.
But also, time goes by fast when you're enjoying things.
That's true. It
Because
definitely
when you're not
does.
enjoying things, like when you're if you're at a job you hate,
Right.
you're staring at that clock. Or you're in class or something, you're just waiting for time to
It
tick.
can't move any. Yeah, exactly. Cannot move any slower.
So I guess
impossible.
it's kind of. I guess if you're like trying to do things and you're exciting and it's just like you're on a roll, it's kind of moving
Right,
fast, and
right,
you're like, oh,
right,
next
right.
thing you know,
Exactly.
and it's hard to like remember to stay in that experience.
Oh, that's true.
That's what I'm
so
trying
true.
to focus on right now, and because I'm like winding up college, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really having a good experience. Like this
Right,
is really
right, right.
nice. So the poetry events, like wow, this is like cool. Like I'm doing this. Like yeah, and then on Saturday, I really did feel that community. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it was a different kind of community feeling because it was like I don't know how to describe it. It was more like an intimate setting. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, for sure.
Whereas like other poetry events I've gone to, there's so many people, and it's like
Right,
it's kind of
right,
overwhelming.
right,
And it's still kind of intimate, but it's sort of like I don't know who to talk to.
Right. And that's what I kind of like about these events is that they're always intimate. I think that's the key word, Natalie, is that they're intimate. The person, I like the feeling like I can introduce myself to each person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I can at least
You did
talk
do that,
for a
didn't
minute.
you? I remember.
do
I saw you do
that.
that. I was like, okay. She has. Next podcast, we'll talk about interpersonal skills because Simone is a master. She was all over the place. I was like, oh gosh. She makes you feel like appreciate. Simone's good at that stuff.
Well, I appreciate people, and I appreciate, like I tell them, I appreciate your time. Like events on a Saturday, I have all my events on Saturdays. There's a lot to do on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So that you would come to a poetry event for that day, it was 3 hours because
Yeah.
each workshop is, almost an hour. So, I mean, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And so I want people to know like they're a valued member of the community. They're a valued person. And I value their presence at the event. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's what probably keeps them coming back too. Because when
Yeah.
you feel that, it's that connection and that, like, oh wow, someone. Because it's sort of weird, but like, you think that like, in like life, people are just like appreciating your presence and things.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, like the way the world works now, where it's like jobs and things and college and stuff, like it really doesn't feel like it would mean that much if like,
Right.
you weren't there. And that's what I think
Right.
applies to a lot of mental health stuff.
Sure.
And it's like kind of feeling like, oh, I'm just like a consumer kind of. Or
Yeah,
I'm
I know
just
what you're saying.
And then
I
when they
get it.
talk like that, sort of in these like classes I'm in sometimes, like the way they talk about it too, is like it makes you really depressed really fast.
It's
Because you're like, oh,
very
it's really
troubling.
hard to find that organic, like really genuine kind of connection and
Right.
community and
Right.
experience.
Right.
And that's like poetry. It's like I'm like I had a hunch when I decided like, oh, I have this project. I can do anything. I can do it on anything. It's like I want to do it on this because I'm lacking this kind of like connection or this experience. And like instantly like people are just so like welcoming. I feel like not everybody, but you certainly meet a lot of people that are because they're
Yeah,
walking in
yeah.
there with the same kind of want that you have
Right.
to connect
true.
and experience and express. And, yeah, and like
Definitely.
yeah. So it's
No,
really
I
good what
hear
you're
what
doing.
saying. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I completely hear what you're saying. I don't want anybody feeling alienated, and I think sometimes people go into a or any type of event, really. I mean, any large event. I don't think there's any intentionality with it or anything like that, where this is something that's deliberate. But I think, sometimes when it's very, like you said, a really large crowd or there's a certain environment, although poetry, there is a poetry community, there's still, I think, doesn't mean that everybody's going to feel okay in every single space within that community.
Yeah.
And so one thing I've tried to really embrace is, okay, having events that kids can come to, although, some of the content could be mature, but by and large, something that kids can come to. So parents, if they are coming on a Saturday.
Childcare.
Right, exactly. Something that I know, we have elderly people come out to our events, and that's one of the reasons I like having them at the libraries, because that's kind of like a safe place. Like, I'm not asking them to come all the way downtown and, some hipster area where there's going to be a lot of activity.
Like, where's this? Where are we going? That could just scare people away.
Parking, exactly.
So fast.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And so it's a comfortable space.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. It's easy to get to.
No, I just thought of a
line.
really funny story about that. Like, my dad, like, I was trying to get him to go to this restaurant in Midtown, and like he walked in and saw that the menu was written on a chalkboard, and he was like, "Oh no!" and he just walked out. I was like, "What?" I was like, too hipster for him. He was like, "I can't."
Right, that's what I'm
I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Really?" I was like, "They have good food here." I think I might have ended up getting him. That was
That's
like back
funny.
when I used to love to eat meat, and it was like a barbecue place.
Oh, for real? Oh,
It's called-
that wouldn't stop me though, because I love barbecue.
Yeah, I see. Now I don't eat meat, so I don't know if I would take it. Now I take it to vegan places now still. So
Oh,
yeah.
or there's some vegan places in the area that you could recommend, or if
There's this
people who are
one I
vegan?
like in Midtown, and it's like upstairs above this other one. I need to look it up for the next podcast. to mention
Okay.
it. But yeah, I went there. It was so cute. It's like above this other restaurant, and it's like you have to go up these stairs to get there, and like it's hidden, and you don't really know unless you read the reviews. And you're like, oh, that's where it is. And you go upstairs, and it's all decorated with like artwork, like Sacramento artwork, kind of like the Brick House Art Gallery.
Ah,
And it's like,
okay. And you don't know the name of it though?
No, I can't remember. But it was really
This is like a
good.
tease. Like,
They have a lot of good food there too. Yeah, I'll remember for next time. I wrote
okay.
that down. Yeah, it was so good.
I'm getting really hungry.
Yeah, and also Thai food's usually always vegan, so I
I
like
love
any
Thai.
Thai.
food. We have to
There's
do like a
one-
podcast at a Thai restaurant.
Dude, let's do
We
it.
should
There's one
totally
I
do.
know. Matt and I just went with my mom. I really liked it. It was authentic. It was like it's in Arden. It's across the street from the How About Arden parking lot. It's in that parking lot with the Arigato Sushi. I don't know the name of the Thai place.
That's like
Something Thai. Okay, I don't remember. We should
No
go there
clue.
because that place is nice and the food was
Was it bomb?
it was
pretty
bomb.
good.
Yeah, you like Thai food? Good.
Girl, I
we're,
love Thai food.
We're
I
gonna
probably
eat
eat
best
Thai
friends
food
now.
twice a week. Yeah,
Because I know a lot of people don't like Thai food, and they're like,
Which I don't understand. Like, I don't understand like why people wouldn't like certain foods.
genres. It's like
Yeah,
there's always
it's
something in the
delicious
genre you
food.
could try.
Oh,
like
it's
at
like food is
least.
food. It's just like
Oh my
it's
gosh.
food. A chicken is a chicken. Onion is
Yeah.
an onion.
Matt got me today though, because I was talking. Matt's my boyfriend. I was talking to him, and I was like, yeah, a lot of cultures are like really central on meat. And I was saying
Yeah.
that thinking about like Mexican culture, like tacos. Like if you were
Yeah.
vegan and you're
Yeah.
Mexican, like how would that be hard? And like not tacos, but you know, like a lot of food.
They have a lot of beans and rice.
Yeah, they have
yeah.
like obviously.
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know why. I was just thinking like at celebrations or something.
Yeah, there's
it'd be
always
hard.
like meat. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he looks at me and says American.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, American is really big on meat. Like I didn't even like
Oh, no,
process.
that's our American
Like, I
culture.
like
That's
that.
like our bread and butter
that's what-
is actually meat.
Yeah, and that's what
it's-
anthropology says: is you make the strange familiar, and the familiar strange.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what it is like culturally. I'm like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
stupid. Like, yeah, duh.
No,
Like America's really big on
girl,
meat.
that's- it's an industry. It's like a god. Like meat is. That's it.
yeah.
I mean, like the commercial. Do they still have like beef? It's what's for dinner. Like they still have those commercials. There actually used to be a
no,
commercial.
but like I was in the store the other day, like 99-cent store, because that's where I like to shop. And they're like, oh, remember, on, like a voiceover, they have it playing. Oh, remember, like between songs, to grab your gallon of milk on the way out the door. And it's just like,
Right.
It's
Yeah,
just
you're
weird
just-
how they
you're-
like push it on you.
Absolutely.
It's so
That's
weird.
how
It's
it
like so
works.
subtle, and I'm like, what's going on?
But you don't. But that's how power works. Like you don't even realize it's operating, and you're just making
Yeah.
decisions based on what
Like,
it's
oh
telling
yeah, I
you.
need to grab milk, and you just do
Right.
it. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, and then you see it on TV. Like the messages are everywhere. So you see it on TV, you hear it in school, you hear it on the intercom, you see it on a billboard, you see it in a magazine, you hear it in conversation.
Oh my god, did
It's
you hear
concepts
about
everywhere.
this like conspiracy, not conspiracy, but Twitter started blowing up on it. You know that Chinese I think it's Chinese musical called Shen Yun or something?
Oh yeah.
So apparently like its advertisement is so heavily like pushed that like people started taking pictures of where they found the advertisements just to show how crazy it was. And some people saying I live in this little tiny rural town, like in Canada or something like that, like in the middle of nowhere, at my school or my workplace or in the bathroom, like there's an advertisement for like Shen Yun, like
in the bathroom.
Yeah, people said like all these really weird, like very like tiny places. Like, how does this have such a far reach? Like this little,
right.
And it's so apparent, I think, because it's like a musical. But also, it was just so weird, like, how it was so advertised and, like, everywhere in these little tiny places in the middle of nowhere.
So what do they think is happening? Like,
I don't know. People are saying, like, it's like a cult, actually. Like, the ongoings within it, it's like a cult for some reason. Like, the person who started it and, like, the way they treat everyone.
Oh, okay.
And who are in it.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I went to one performance of it.
Oh, really? I never gone.
Like 2 years ago. So, yeah, the friend of mine, he's a huge fan of it. So, he took me to go see it. And it was definitely it was a very good production. I'll just be honest with you. I was kind of mesmerized. I mean, it was just it had such a vibrancy to it.
Is it kind of like Cirque du Soleil, or was it just like Las Vegas, or was it something completely different?
I mean, it wasn't like, I don't recall it being, mind you, I was congested and all that other type of stuff, but I don't remember it being like Las Vegas-y per se. But it was, I mean, there was such a purity to it, and there was it was very refined to me.
Wow. Kind of like ballet or something.
Yeah, I guess
Musicals.
you could. Yeah, something like that. But you definitely have to check it out, though.
Yeah.
You guys should go see it.
Yeah. Pull it up for me.
No, did that just come up, Matt? Because Matt now has an ad. He's got the web. Did you pull up that website? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't just pop up.
Just came up on your phone.
It's probably going to on Instagram.
Now we're talking about. That's probably exactly.
That always happens on Instagram.
So you go on Instagram, you're gonna start seeing ads.
Yeah, but I've heard of some weird stories
like every
about
January, right? That's interesting.
About it being like really strict and like a cult and like something about human rights or something. I don't know. Something.
So are you talking like the actors and stuff, or
like the people who are in it and the people who are like in charge of it and stuff like that, because it is kind of weird, like how far the reach is. If you look up on Twitter, like Shen Yun, and there's all these memes and all these things about people like, oh my gosh, it became like an internet sensation overnight.
Crazy.
Because it was like, oh my gosh, everyone's like, wow,
I mean,
we all know about it. Like everyone knows about it all over the world.
It's
like,
a big thing. Yeah, that's it. I had never really thought about it. I just thought it was an innocent.
Like that's like one of those things that are just kind of weird.
But
you're just like,
silly me for thinking anything is just an innocent thing. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I feel bad. I ruined everything. Okay.
No, it's fine. I mean, I totally would believe that.
I'm so horrible.
Oh God! No, they're gonna sue me now.
I thought it was fun. I liked it. I don't know.
I can totally see what you're saying. I mean, there probably is something there.
Yeah.
It's kind of sinister. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Every time like I do this podcast, I get more inspired. I'm like, oh, this is so great, because like we just start talking about these things. I'm like, I want to investigate more and like go down the rabbit hole with this and that.
We should totally do like investigations.
It makes me just like start thinking about all these different things, and I'm like, my brain's just like so happy.
You were helping. No, I actually like the investigative, and one day we're going to have to do like our own investigation. I've actually been, for some reason, I don't know why, I started off, I got YouTube TV maybe like last year or so, and I was just scrolling through some channels. I've never had cable. So this is like my first cable, which I highly recommend YouTube TV, but I'm not going to say anything else unless they start giving me some money. But I just kind of came across this TV show, and it was about this girl. I think her name is, I want to say her name is Natalie Holloway or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it was basically her dad. I don't know if the show was still on, but at the time it was on, and he's basically trying to find out what happened to his daughter. So it's like one of those reality TV shows, trying to figure out what happened to his daughter. She's never been found, and I think the case is still open. I think there's still an active investigation going on. But it kind of got me into, I've never been into like missing persons things.
Like, I think they call it like nowadays like the true crime or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I started watching this program, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like inspired some interest in like missing persons cases.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason. And so like for the past, I don't know, year or so, year and a half, I've been like interested in.
Sorry, I love that stuff too. I'm
Do
like,
you?
oh my
okay.
gosh,
it's really like,
it's really
crazy.
interesting, like all the missing persons cases and like how it happens.
Yeah,
and like it's just normal people.
Like, right, exactly. And then I mean, I don't want to say I have a conspiracy. Some missing persons cases may have a mysterious element to it, but I think by and large, their unfortunate circumstances happen to these people. But it's crazy because I've always wondered, I mean, there's so many missing people, and how does how does law enforcement, how are missing persons cases handled? How are the resources being used, and how, I think we can only expect so much from
Yeah.
law enforcement when it comes to being able to find missing people
Yeah.
or how they even determine if a person is legitimately missing, the profile of the person, the different things that come into play where it's like if a loved one goes missing, well, you're kind of at the mercy of, okay, well, did this person just voluntarily leave?
Or
Is there foul play? Right? You
all
just
that
never
stuff.
really, you don't know. Was it just an accident? The body can be anywhere.
Oh yeah, you
Parts
can
of it
fall off
could
the
be
side of the
anywhere.
road and
You have no
no one
clue.
even knows that you fell off the side of the
Right.
road.
That's the whole thing about it. And so it's just kind of like all these missing person cases, but the resources aren't really there
Yeah.
to be able to investigate them through and through. You can hire your own private investigator, but
Especially
that's
when
very
it happens
costly.
far from home.
Right,
Because
exactly.
you can literally
You
just hit your
never
head.
know. You just
Someone finds you, gets your body, and next thing you're disappeared.
It's just
and
crazy.
you're gone.
It's
There's
just
a really
crazy.
cool update on the missing persons topic. I was listening to a podcast today. Came out on Tuesday, I think it was. It's called Mile Higher Podcast. I think you might like that one.
Okay.
It's with this girl named Kendall Ray. She's into missing persons cases a lot. She covers that.
Really? Okay.
And they were talking about on their podcast that there's this news that came out pretty much that Google can track your phone. And
I
has
think
been
I
tracking
read
your
something
phone.
about this.
Yeah,
But
so
it doesn't come into play until in like homicide cases or like
yeah.
missing, persons
So it's
cases
like
or
it's been
something.
tracking people's data since 2008 or something like that.
Wow.
And it's like even if you turn your phone off, even if you
It's not
disable
off. Yeah, it doesn't
the GPS,
matter. Yeah.
no matter what you do, if you have a phone that has navigation on it and
Right.
or GPS enabled
It's
at
constantly
all,
being tracked, yeah.
it's going to track it, and
Right.
it's been keeping track of people's data
Right.
about this for 2008 if you had it, and then it's on this big giant like machine thing, and it's tracking everyone.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's going to be a help though,
That's
for
what I'm
some
saying,
cold
yeah,
cases and
right.
cold cases, but also a lot of cases because they're going to allow them to access this data.
Right. I read some article. I don't know if we're talking about the same article, but I remember the lady had mentioned a specific case, and it was a homicide, and basically they were able to, via surveillance, but also the person's phone, get the suspect.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, determine a suspect, get the guy, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, there's definitely two sides to that coin. I think there's more
Yeah.
bad to it than good. However,
Yeah.
I can definitely see it coming in handy. And believe me, the more and more you give up your privacy,
Yeah.
which really there isn't anymore.
No,
but-
we're in an
Yeah.
illusion of privacy at this point.
Right. And so part of the whole thing is, give you privacy, but it's for your safety, so it's the
Yeah.
whole Big Brother thing. Whether or
Yeah.
not it's for your safety, that may be part of the story, but there's a much larger story to be told. But I can definitely see how it can come in handy,
Yeah.
for
They're
dealing
definitely,
with situations.
but even
like
if they
that.
say, "Oh, we're doing it for your safety," "Oh, we're gonna make these precautions on it to make sure it doesn't invade people's personal private security," it's
But
not
they're
going.
gonna
They
do
don't. They
that.
don't need
And
to
there's
tell
no
you.
way-
They can do it totally.
And there's no reason for them to do that.
The public won't even know.
Yeah, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna hold you accountable. Why would you,
Yeah.
like, if you're a powerful entity,
Yeah,
you're gonna limit your own power?
that's not gonna
That's not
happen.
how power works. It has no limits.
Yeah.
So it's. I don't really listen to that. I fully expect them to be as reckless as.
Yeah.
I mean, they're providing the technology.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do?
I
We're
mean,
using it.
we're using their technology.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it comes
So,
at a price, but
what
I
do
think
you-
a lot of us are just like kind of
Yeah,
at this point. We're
I
like,
think most people really don't care because you just resign yourself to it. What are you gonna do?
yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do?
They try to
legitimately?
operate without it, and it's like okay, fine, but then at the same time, it's
And
like
that's
it's a
how it works.
struggle.
Yeah.
It's so convenient and it's so helpful, and it's like
And that's the whole
wow.
point. That's how it works, is that they make it, we talked about this before, they create a relationship between you and the product to the point where it becomes a part of the fabric of your life, so to speak.
There's this thing they're talking about that cell phones. Have you know how Apple has the apple bitten out of it? Like
Yeah.
Apple, it's almost like Adam and Eve.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Have you heard about that? And like the technology insidious, and there's this whole thing about like I heard about this conspiracy theorists talk about. It's called transhumanism, and that like
Oh,
people
yeah.
they want to pretty much make like people into like technological like advancements kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like
the
a
phone is
machine-
like the
not a
first
machine,
thing, so
but
you
like
get
a-
used to
yeah.
having it.
Yeah.
And you get used to like having this machine with you all the time, and the next step
Exactly.
is something else like
Yeah,
and it's gonna be so cool that everyone's gonna do it.
People are going to implant themselves with microchips and stuff. People are going to want, we
Yeah, we were talking about the microchip.
Yeah.
And everyone always freaks out about it, but people are like, oh yeah, no, stick it in my body.
Exactly.
Whatever.
They don't, I mean, like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we'd be like, oh my goodness. It's so funny how things that we think we'd be
We're so
so
scared
repulsed
of.
by, yeah, we'd be like, oh, never would that
Not
happen.
even
Like,
that.
never
They
would
have
do
that type
that.
of birth control girls get where they stick it in their
Yeah.
arm. It's literally a stick in your arm.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Have you
That's-
ever seen someone with that?
I haven't, but I know that
People
exists.
have like shown me theirs, and I
Yeah.
feel it, and it's like, ugh.
It's
I could feel it under their
See
skin,
how
and it's so
easy
creepy.
it's
I'm like,
very
ah,
creepy.
like I understand it, like it's really, really good, and I'm like, cool, but like, ow, and I feel like that's a tracking device.
yeah. This stuff is so like somebody's trying to implant their technology in your body.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, you can say conspiracy
Oh my
theories,
gosh.
but these aren't conspiracies. Like these are
Yeah.
things that are actually happening. And the thing, Natalie, is that we have come to accept them because, again, like I talked about before, it's the way that they're packaged.
yeah,
It's the way that, like, I guarantee you. I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of people would not drink Starbucks if
No.
the drink was not in a plastic cup.
no,
If it was just in a styrofoam cup.
because they can see through it, and they think
Because
it's
you
all
can see
pretty.
precisely, it's all about the packaging.
Yeah, it's
all
like
about
if you
how
go,
it's psychological.
you can just go to McDonald's and get a paper cup then.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a
You can go up to
big
the
thing.
AM PM.
Yeah,
You get the
literally.
same- but you want the experience, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's like a
walking into the
Starbucks,
store.
like
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
treating yourself. It's like
It's
kind
the
of
environment, it's a special
luxury.
experience, right?
Not just a gas
that's how they
station
make
coffee
money.
or something.
It's not just gas station coffee. You're going to a place. It may be
It
you
can
know
be a gas station coffee.
prettier
who knows?
looking than a gas station. That's the whole thing. And the coffee that they use is not really. You know, it's like what third grade or whatnot coffee. It's not
Yeah.
even premier coffee.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's all in the packaging.
yeah.
And that's how these things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Is things that we're like, oh, that'll never happen. It's going to happen, and you're going to be okay with it because of
Yeah.
the fact it's going to be packaged in a certain way.
Yeah.
That's going to seem familiar,
Yeah.
and it's going to be like, oh, why not? And then the logic will be there, the language will be there, the platform will be there, the political aspect will be there,
Mm-hmm.
the social aspect. All that will come together to make it the perfect solution.
It's
And
a pretty
we just
bow.
go right
You're
along
like,
with it. Yeah.
And you just forget about the rest. And there was this really funny YouTube video that, so pretty much a lot of people do believe that this is true, you know, and most people don't believe that it's not true. And it was this guy doing like a social experiment, I guess, more like a prank, where he had this fan and he was outside the street, like in LA or something. And he's like, hey, come here to these random people passing by. And he said, I need you to get in the car. Like, I'm doing this experiment and like they've implanted you with like technology and I need to get it out of you. And he opens the car door and it looks like Men in Black in there. It looks like a legitimate setup. So he gets this like people and he hooks them up to this thing and he like talks to them through it and they're like talking like, how'd you know? He's like, I've been tracking you with the technology. I'm trying to get the technology out of people. So want me to get it out of you or not? And they say sure. And they do this thing where they stick this like cup over it and they kind of pull something out of them and it looks like they're actually pulling it out of their skin the way they make the
Is it like in the Matrix or something like?
It's just a YouTube video. It's just like regular people.
Oh, you
but-
like have you seen the movie The Matrix?
Oh no, I
Yeah.
haven't.
Oh, okay.
but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess it is if it's.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see that.
Yeah.
But like, they
That's
pull it out
crazy.
of the person, and
It looks like
all
it's
the,
coming out of their skin.
Yeah, and all the people believe it.
Oh
They're just
my
all like,
goodness.
"Oh my god." Like I knew that, and they'll like explain why they knew that, and like
That's
how they knew, and
crazy.
like what's been going on with their life, and like
That is
it's a trip.
wow.
It's on
That's-
YouTube. It's like just look up like implantation prank or something like that. but it
yeah, I'll
just
have to check
pop
that
up.
out. Oh, that's a trip.
But like most people believe that it's true, so they're just like, okay,
But it probably is true. I mean,
it's another respect maybe.
I mean, there's probably data centers that can tell you everything about your life from maybe even the time you were
Like, why
born
not?
to now. Yeah.
Why not?
It's like The Truman Show. Have you seen that movie, The Truman Show? Do you know Jim Carrey? See, I can remember the generation gap. Okay, so because I say things sometimes,
yeah,
and I
it's like
gotta
it just
remember.
goes past me, like
Right, exactly. Okay, so do you know there's an actor? His name is Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I know Jim Carrey.
Okay, well, no, seriously, 'cause I wouldn't even expect you to.
Really?
I legit would not even expect you because he was like more like 90s and maybe like
Yeah.
early 2000s. Or
I feel like
whatever. Was
most
that his-
dads
his
make their
prime,
kids
sort
watch
of?
that movie.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Those
so
movies.
Yeah. So Jim Carrey was in a movie called The Truman Show, which I think came out actually like in the 90s. So it was a big blockbuster hit, and basically the whole. If you haven't seen it, I don't really want to tell you then. But it kind of ties.
You can
into-
spoil. I like spoilers. I don't care.
Yeah, but I feel
Does
like
it
it's
really spoil?
irresponsible for me to even give you the spoiler. But I think you'll probably catch on, probably, to what's happening anyway.
Oh, it's a big spoiler. But it's in the 90s.
It's
A long
not a
time
huge-
ago.
it's- I know, but no, check it out if you have Netflix or whatever. Check out The Truman Show,
Okay.
but I think it ties into kind of like what you're saying here because the whole movie basically gets into the facade, the fiction, the everything is Well, even beyond that, really, it gets into kind of what I just said, where
Yeah.
I think there are data centers or people who know everything about your life from start to finish.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
check out that movie, and you'll kind of see maybe why I said that.
I want to say something, and it's kind of
Sure.
scary. So I have a source. I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to give away their name, and that sounds really scary.
Who's the source?
I can't
No.
tell you. But there's someone who were in the military, and I'm not sure they want me sharing this, but I'm just gonna say it.
Oh, the military has a lot of. I've heard some very juicy stuff from.
Yeah, hopefully they don't listen to
military-related
it.
stuff.
But they were saying like pretty much they are pretty sure either that they know or they're pretty sure something along those lines that they've had the technology like satellites pretty much that they can pretty much zoom in on anyone through
Yeah.
walls.
Oh, yeah, girl, yeah.
And they like anyone they want to like, and different countries look at us too, and that like we always think like there's this like kind of divide between the countries, but there's really not.
No, there isn't. I've never bought that for 1 second. There
Yeah.
is only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that all the satellites pretty much are just like the whole Big Brother thing that it's actually like real, and that you can be like in your house taking a shower, and like the satellite can see through and see you.
Oh,
And, like,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I definitely think that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but that's really like probably the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's
Yeah.
really weird stuff that, you know, and you look at the things that are happening right now with people who are formerly and, you know, who are Army veterans or whatnot, and them shooting up places and
Oh,
shooting
yeah.
at people and things like that. I definitely think there's something. I don't know if it's full conspiracy. It could simply be these are people who have, you know, to me, honestly, you know, when it comes to the military essentially has to recreate you. So, you know,
Yeah.
me being a Christian, I believe in how human beings were created. I don't believe that the military has to sort of recreate you in a way that God didn't really design people to
No.
be. God didn't design man to kill man, or
Yeah.
God didn't design all these things that the military has to create you to be.
Yeah.
So what happens is, you know, you get back into society and you have to, if without people there to really reprogram you again,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what that could be for
Yeah.
that individual to get them readjusted, reacclimated to life. And so there may be some issues there with they're not readjusting.
I don't think
the
you
trauma.
can fully
Right.
do that.
But even so, I mean, people have argued, you know, that some of these people who have, you know, backgrounds in the military, they're doing all these violent crimes, that they're actually being like mind controlled. These
Oh,
are people
yeah.
that have been, you know, through some form of electroshock therapy or something, or you know,
Different, like,
something happening with their
experimentation.
minds, experimentations. They have actually been like programmed to commit these crimes. Like
Yeah.
not just it's like a byproduct or some
Oh my
after effect, but
gosh,
they're being
yeah.
actively
I
programmed
can-
to go out and
Yeah.
do crazy stuff. Yeah.
I remember in my AP Psych class we watched about hypnosis, whether or not it was real or not, and there
Right.
was like this documentary we watched in that class about, this was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
when I was in high school, and they were talking about, there was this video they showed us where like they tested tons of people about their hypnosis abilities, and they did like this kind of thing where they could see inside their body and see what was going on in their body, see if they were actually reaching that state of hypnosis or not. And there was this one guy, and he was really capable of being hypnotized. He was so capable of being hypnotized that when they put him in an ice cold thing of water, they told him that they hypnotized him to think that he was warm, and his body, like the body scan showed that he was warm.
Wow.
So they actually hypnotized
They can,
him.
yeah, they can
Yeah.
rule over the mind like that.
So they hypnotized him to, when they hear this word, go to this person, like this super like specific thing.
Exactly.
Go to
They'll
this
do it.
go to this guy, grab the gun, and shoot this guy. And like
Exactly.
he was about it, he did it, but there was
Exactly.
no bullet.
Right.
But he would have killed somebody.
Well, yeah. Have you seen that movie, Get Out? You've seen Get Out. 'Cause
Yeah.
We talked about Get Out.
You know what I
right?
just found about Get Out? That the main actor in it, I don't know his name, but he was an actor in this TV show I used to watch. It was a British teenage TV show called Skins. And I loved that show. And I was like, oh my god, he's from
That's
that show.
him, yeah.
So he's British.
Yeah, he is British. I didn't know about the TV show thing, but yeah, he is British.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he totally is. But if you think about the whole scene with the whole teacup, you know, and her, you know, with the spoon kind of making that chime noise against the teacup, and
Oh, yeah.
whenever she would do that, he would have a reaction. So in this case, he would go into he would go limp.
Yeah.
Like, you know, remember like at the end, towards the end of the movie where he's realizing what's going on, like these people aren't who, you know, they say that they are, or
Yeah.
they're presenting themselves to be. He's trapped. He's about something bad about to happen. He tries to run out the door, and she does the whole teacup thing, and he just goes limp. You know, that type of stuff is definitely what I think happens. I think there are certain triggers or whatnot where people
Yeah.
have actually, like you said, because he was basically, I mean, he had been hypnotized.
Yeah.
I mean, in some sense. And so that's kind of what happens is people somehow, you know, they I think hypnosis, you have to allow the hypnosis to happen.
Yeah, you have to be open.
I don't think somebody can just hypnotize you, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happens.
Taz on a chair. I'm hypnotized. I think that you would just like not.
Right.
You have to like. It's kind of like meditation, where you have
have
to like
to
have that
allow-
ability to let go.
That's the thing about it. And that's what I think is happening. It's kind of like a get out thing. It's kind of like the whole example you brought up
Yeah.
a second ago, where that's not just people who are doing these violent crimes, but I think this is a lot of people, you know, maybe a lot of American consumers, the American public, they're
Yeah.
also under some hypnosis. Consumerism is a type of hypnosis.
Yeah, it really is.
You don't really think about that, but that's a type of mind control. What you
Yeah.
desire is a type of mind control.
It really is.
That
like
you go
to,
buy it is a type of mind control.
to a very
about it.
big extent, and
Yeah.
like we don't think about it. I was watching this video today of this Instagrammer guy, and he's like, I'm not gonna say his name, I forget it anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't really want to plug him. He's already famous.
Okay.
He's like one of those influencers who's like, I hate the word influencer. Sorry. He actually he's a motivational speaker, I guess you could say. He has his
Okay.
own business and stuff, and he
Yeah.
like pretty much gives like these good messages, motivational.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things he was talking about was like, people buying things because of insecurity, because of this, because of that, and like to fulfill these emotional needs.
Mm-hmm.
But this person was commenting like, you're totally like bypassing the whole thing of like the consumerism and like that we're being brainwashed.
Yeah, it's no different than any other type of brainwash, to be honest. It just looks different.
It's just subtle
It's
too.
your
as
money
well.
that's the,
Yeah.
it's how you're transacting it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference? I don't see a big difference. Commercials, I mean, there's got to be psychologists who do these commercials.
Oh,
There's got to be
yeah.
psychologists who run Starbucks. I mean, anything that's a big...
I don't
like-
want to do that.
Yeah.
Someone just told me like there's marketing companies will hire
These-
anthropologists, and I
Yes.
can make a lot of money off of that. And I'm just
And
like,
think about why they hire people from
I don't
these
wanna do
different
that.
backgrounds. They know how to get people to operate. They know how to
Yeah.
get people to move. They know how to get people to act.
yeah,
That's very powerful.
It's so
not
scary.
not saying that people are by nature sheep, but what happens is they allow themselves to become passive.
yeah. Not even that. It's that like we're more basic than we seem. Like everyone wants certain things.
Right.
And as long as you know what people want, like we want to talk about interpersonal communication next time, but like part of that is getting people to do what you want, sort of in a way.
Yeah.
And pretty much if you give them something, like even like, oh, I appreciate it, they'll want it. And I even know that, but I still love hearing it. And when
Right.
people do that to me, I'm like, oh, thanks. Like my
Right.
boss used to always do that to me, like, I really appreciate it, and I'd be like, yay, I'll keep working for you forever. I don't care. Like, you're so nice. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like you don't think it works, but when you do it, you see it really works. Like, yeah, and it's like people are much more simpler. We are much more people, as if I'm not a people.
Yeah.
But
but
we are
like
much
basic,
more simpler
like-
than we think we are. We have
Basic.
certain motivations and wants and needs and desires.
Right, and that's what power does. It just taps into what we know that people want.
Yeah.
We know that men want. We know that women want, or at least they've been constructed to want.
Yeah.
You know, and then and like I've said before, and actually a professor of mine here years ago said, this culture creates your desires and then fulfills them, and that's so true. The idea that even desire what you would want would be something that would be created for you.
Yeah.
And so that's what gives power all its powers. It tells you what you want, and then you accept that,
Yeah.
and then it's saying, okay, now I'm going to give you what I told you want.
It's so crazy.
It's how it works.
Yeah, I've had this big like dilemma within myself, like when I graduating high school and then going into college, and just like this thing of like, am I doing like this big question of, am I doing this because I want to or because others want me to? And I had this big thing, and so
Right.
I just started like, that's why I chose my major. It was like one of the first majors alphabetically on the roster, and I was
Are
like,
you serious?
I was literally just like, okay, I'm gonna choose one that I want to do.
Okay.
That like, because I have been telling everyone English because that was like safe, and everyone knew I like writing.
English. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I'm just gonna do English, and then I get off my back, and I was like, didn't have to say and explain myself anymore.
Right.
I didn't have to hear everyone's opinions when I
Right.
said I was undecided.
Right.
Well, you should do that.
Right.
What are you gonna do with your life?
So
So I figured out I was looking anthropology. Sounds cool. I'm gonna do that. And then I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to Ireland because I want to. Like I just did that.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to do that because I wanted to separate myself from my family and like the world I grew up in the little town and everything, and be like, what do I want? And even then, I couldn't really see that far outside myself. I kind of was just like, well, maybe, like I was living in a little village for one point, and I was like, this is nice. all the kids know each other. They all take care of each other. The schools are next to the ocean. And they play on the beach for recess. And then, like, everyone knows each other. And, like, everyone's so friendly. And, like, they take care of each other. And I was like, this is nice. Like, I never thought about this kind of lifestyle before. And it's just, like, we really criticize, like, simple things. Like, maybe sometimes people are satisfied with simple things. Or maybe, like, maybe they are also, they have a value in it. We act like in our, like, in America at least, we act like there's no value to things that are simple. Simple, I mean, as in just simple little joys and treasures. And, like, we don't act like, we take all the value off of that, and we put all the pressure and importance on, like, material things and also, like, achievements. And it's like, those are cool.
Achievements is the big one,
It's like, yeah, those are cool, but it's like, it's like there's more to life than just that even. Why can't we just be satisfied or happy with, like, simple sort of things?
Because in capitalism would not work.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all honestly
that's
boils
very,
down to capitalism.
very, very true.
Yeah, that's what it all boils down to. Is what are the ideas that this culture can keep telling you to keep capitalism going? Even achievement is still a capitalistic idea.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? The notion of that is we've made it mean is it's foreign to this is totally an American thing in a lot of senses. Maybe even, I don't know if you want to say contemporary, modern. This is not the way that the world has always worked. I think we look at America and we're like, okay, well, everybody across every culture, across space and time has always had these values that we have.
Yeah, we do.
But it's not true.
Yeah.
You know,
so
achievement is not a big deal for.
Yeah. And that's part of, like, when you go to therapy, there's the sheet you fill out, and then there's your chart, and it asks you to fill out, like, are you reaching your goals, and, like, are you kind of, like, how have you reached your goals kind of question. I forget the exact wording of it, but kind of like, are you reaching these goals? Like, it's constantly, are you reaching these goals? Like, maybe someone's goal isn't what is typically
I know what you're saying. Exactly. There you go.
Like, for your organization, for instance, you have a goal that you want to bring community together. Does that essentially bring a bunch of money, and is that seen as an achievement by many people?
Exactly.
You probably have to deal with a lot of people not understanding it, but then a lot of people who get it are like, wow, and it's an achievement in that way.
Exactly.
But it's like,
it's so different. Exactly, in the way that we've been taught. And I think, Natalie, you hit the nail, like, right on the head. And that's a really good example, because even when I first started the poetry organization, had certain ideas of what I thought it meant to be successful as an organization. And I felt that I'm being a failure if these certain things don't happen. But one thing that I kept losing sight of was that, just what you're saying, is that I'm trying to fit something that's my passion, like, into a capitalistic box.
Yeah.
So I'm letting that define what this should mean to me. I'm letting this capitalism define the importance of what I'm doing, of the organization. Because like you said, if I don't have this, if I don't have that, and that's
money, fame, what else?
Yeah, if I don't have 1,000 people show up, or if I don't have all these types of things, then...
Or everyone just saying, oh, wow, that's so amazing, kind of...
Right, and to me, it's been a very humble thing, and I think if I were to say what's successful about it is that I've endured and I've continued going on
that
with
is successful.
To me, that's successful. To me, successful is... every single event is successful because it's achieved the purpose. We've always had at least one person come out, you know, to every event.
Yeah.
And so... that to me is successful. What's successful to me is the character that it builds in you. You know, it's the character that's being demonstrated. But we don't think of it that way. You know, we don't think of anything successful being something that's coming from us, like it derives from within, or it's being molded within, or it's being built within. It's always an external thing.
Yeah.
And I feel and I know people mean well, because people have tried to hold me to those standards in some regard. And I know people mean well because people have been taught and programmed
this way.
They don't even know. They really don't even know.
I've been, growing up now, looking back, I'm like, wow.
But I feel bad for people who are pressured.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And who are pressured, like, you have to do this. Thankfully for me, Mom, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman, maybe, you know, guys,
women
it's a little bit harder.
More
Well, I think we have a lot more liberty.
Yeah,
to do
because you
stuff
can be a
like this.
homemaker and it's fine, you
Right.
know, and that's a simple thing you enjoy. It's like, no, it's not really simple, it's hard, but it's
No,
a
exactly,
simple thing
that's
you enjoy.
work.
It's more like simple life, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like people will, okay, you're poetry, as opposed to, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know if guys would be different. Where when are you gonna get a job? When are you gonna do that? I don't know. It's
Guys
a lot
are like,
different.
we literally live in this kind of thing still.
But who
Where
knows?
guys are the provider, if in
Right.
heterosexual relationships at least.
Sure.
And even like in non-hetero relationships, like I see like, we try to push that on them too. Like, who's the woman, who's the guy?
They become very, that becomes a standard.
Yeah, it's like so weird
sure.
we live like this.
It's a trip, but I'm very thankful that, in those situations where that pressure really is not there
Yeah.
to do, to live that blueprint.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who do, but,
But
a lot of
isn't
people
there
do
this-
regret it.
But isn't this there's
And a
still...
lot of people who are happy, yeah.
Yeah, but do you feel this too? Like, there's still this kind of like twinge inside of you, like, I didn't do this by this age and this age and this age.
Yes, girl, yes, all the time. I have to have like these breakdown moments with my mom where I'm like, Mom, look, I'm this age and I didn't do this and these are my goals and da-da-da. And at the same time, deep down inside, I have this sense of peace. Like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing it. We're not supposed to be doing it. How I'm supposed to be doing it. But I do have, yes, I do. Like, I feel like, okay, it seems like just yesterday I was 21.
Same.
And so.
I'm 22.
Yeah.
Not that old.
Too funny. Yeah, maybe in my mid-30s now. It's like, wow, since like just yesterday, I was just like, I can remember high school
Yeah.
graduation, 17, 18 years old, da-da-da-da. And am I where I thought I was going to be? Where I can tell you, when I was 17, 18, I had my little, I want to be an actress. My little
Yeah.
immature things, right? But if I really were to sit down and be like, okay, what do I want to be? Like, if I could strip everything away and talk to the most genuine part of me at that age, to be honest, it would be doing what I'm doing right now, which is just being an artist.
Yeah.
That's actually what I think my first aspiration was to be a professor, because I come from, I think I told you before, a family of educators. So I was like, I want to be a teacher. But in my own right, I kind of do that in some way.
Yeah.
So to be honest, like I think I told you before, is me doing what I'm doing now is my dream. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, but you don't have this, you don't have that.
Yeah.
That's not my dream. My dream was to simply be a poet. It was simply be a writer, or simply to be an artist. I didn't want to be bogged down with all this other stuff. And that's what I am doing.
Yeah.
So I'm doing what I wanted to do when I was graduating from high school, sitting in Memorial Auditorium, watching everybody walk across the stage, 2001. That's what really I wanted to do at that time, is exactly what I'm doing now. It doesn't look the way I thought it would look.
Yeah.
See, that's different.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wasn't thinking, I wasn't mature. So it's not looking the way that I thought it would look. However, I think it's even better.
And you thought it would.
It's even better because think about it. I mean, okay, so you have, and I'll just use fame and money as an example, since, in our culture, that seems to be the aspiration. But then what? Right?
Yeah, really.
So I have to know where this story, I don't want to say where it ends, but I have to know where it goes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, by the time I leave this earth, okay, money, but can I take any of that with me? The only thing I can take with me, I believe, into the hereafter is just other people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's going to be your guarantee in the afterlife, is there are going to be other people there. If you're alone, that's probably not a good situation. But
What about your pets?
I know, huh? I'm sure there'll be animals too. I mean, I look at Genesis. In Genesis, there were animals. Genesis 1-2. I think God's perfect vision for the world. I mean, they're animals. They're animals, and they were people. And God told Adam to make more people. I mean, it's a people thing. It's a community thing. And so, to me, that's the only thing I really bank on, is what's already been set forth for me as this is the example of success. And so it's people. So that's the only thing I can take. So all this other stuff, in the hereafter, none of that's going to, I don't say it's going to matter, but there is not, everything's going to be transparent. Everything's going to be laid fully bare. There isn't going to be, oh my goodness, like Rihanna. It's if wherever Rihanna chooses to go in life, but I mean, that's not, all that stuff, it's so vastly different than what we're thinking about now.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying, Natalie? And so that's the stuff that I want to focus on, is what is what has eternal value.
Yeah.
Relationships have eternal value.
Yeah, when you die.
character
This is
has-
really dramatic, but like
Who cares?
you know,
who
people
cares?
say
Okay, you had 10 nice cars.
people on the
Those
deathbed
cars are
like
staying
will tell
here.
their regrets and always say like, I wish I was more present. And, like,
Exactly. They never talk about, wish that they had. It's always, they didn't forgive somebody. Oh, it's always, they wish they had gotten to know their kids better. It's
Yeah.
always about other people. It's rarely about all the superficial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about it. It's like, I never want to have any regrets. It's always about building relationships with people.
Yeah. Boom.
Interpersonal communication, like you said, we'll get into that next week, but that's probably
But
good.
that we were talking about people, so it's going
Exactly.
straight
To me,
away
that's
into
just
our
what it
next
is.
podcast.
There you go.
Thank you for joining us today. And
What time is it? 2?
Yeah.
I have the breathe thing. My
Oh.
watch said breathe. Okay, a minute of deep breathing can help you relax. Okay, well, I'm very relaxed. Apple. Okay. It's about what?
2:43.
Oh my goodness, 2:45. Okay.
Yeah, we've been talking.
This is good though. This is like right. See, Teresa, you missed out, girl. I mean, hey, this was some good conversation.
Hey, yeah, you could have been here and thrown up in the corner. You know, what's it called? Rub some dirt in it, or whatever they say. No. I'm happy you're getting rest. Okay, so
I am too. Get well, girl. We love you.
we will see you. Not see. You will hear
Yes.
us. We won't hear you. God, what's going on? We will talk to you later.
Oh my goodness, this is hilarious.
Thank
we will
you.
talk to y'all later. Yes, there we go. I'll just say we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, Simone
talk
talk.
to you later. There we go.
She's talking. Thanks. Bye.
His phone. Okay.
Yeah.